As we leave the Susquehanna station, let's wave goodbye to Ginger, our station master here. Thank you, Ginger. And we're now moving further into our Porches and Parlors district, and the white building on our left is the Susquehanna Plantation House, and you can see it's getting a new roof. Now, the Susquehanna Plantation was located in the Tidewaters area of Maryland. It was part of a 700-acre plantation where they grew wheat and tobacco. And they had 65 enslaved individuals who worked the plantation. Now, the reddish-colored building is the Plimpton family home. It's the oldest American-made home in the village. Built in 1640, it was located in South Sudbury, Massachusetts. And here's the Ferris windmill, the oldest windmill in the U.S. Built in the mid-1600s on the north shore of Cape Cod. And next door to that is the Daggett Farmhouse, built in 1754 in Coventry, Connecticut. It's an example of rural living. And we have presenters in the building that we have to tell you all about it. And to the left is our horse pasture area. This is where we bring our horses after they've been pulling wagons and carriages. Here they have a chance to rest and get ready for the next day's work. And obviously there are no horses out there right now. They may be in the barn area. Or they may be at our William Ford barn, which is over there by the Ford Estate as you come into the village. The locomotive pulling our grain today is called the Edison. It was built in 1932, and it's based on a Manchester locomotive that was built in 1860 and was originally used by Thomas Edison at his Fort in New Jersey. Thomas Edison sold this locomotive to Henry Ford in 1932. And Henry Ford took it over to the Ford locomotive facility they had at the Ford Cruise Complex. He told friends there to refurbish the locomotive and make it look like something from the 1860s. And that's what they did. This is going to be an exciting summer here at Greenfield Village. As you may know, the Jackson home will open up to public display in June of this year. And in case you didn't know, Jackson... marches to Selma, or from Selma to Selma, and it was from those early civil rights activities that eventually the Voters' Rights Act was signed into law by President Lyndon Baines Johnson. And we're coming up to the Walnut Grove area right now. This is our special event field, and you can see the markings of a baseball diamond on the left. That's because on Saturdays and Sundays throughout the summer, our vintage baseball teams, the La-Di-Das and the Nationals, play ball here. We take out teams from other parts of Michigan, and they play historic baseball. In other words, they play the game as it was meant to be played, as the rules were written back in 1867. Now, one of those rules will tell you that a fielder cannot wear a glove. He has to catch the ball with his bare hands. That would have been painful on a day like right now we're approaching the Henry Ford Academy. This is a public charter school open to students who live in Wayne County, Michigan. We have about 500 students who attend the academy in grades 9 through 12. Ninth graders take their classes at the Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation. 10th, 11th, and 12th graders have their classes down in this area.
We'll sign up for the lottery.
And we're approaching a rather unique set of classrooms up here. These are railroad Pullman cars, and they've been converted into classrooms produced by our seniors. Here they take classes in math and English, among other subjects. Looks like school is out for the day. And there's the Swanee Lagoon on our left. Catch basin for water overflow here in the village. Now in the Swanee Lagoon, we do have a rather popular resident turtle, that is. He's a big dog, he's as large as the garbage can lid, and we call him Dog Noah. I don't think he got pillows today. It's too chilly. Now at the top of the hill on our left is the Martha Mary Chapel, St. Anthony Chapel. It's often used for weddings here in the village. Henry Ford had the chapel built in 1929, and he then named it after his mother, Mary Ford, and his mother-in-law, Martha Bryant. And right now we're dancing the face of history. The cafeteria style restaurant. It's open from 9:30 until 4. It serves lunch between 11 and 3. And the larger white building on our left is the Eagle Tavern, also a restaurant, and it too serves lunch between 11 and 3. But it features a menu that dates back to the 1850s. And we're now approaching the Smith Street station. We're going to stop here. In fact, this is going to be our final stop of the day for this particular train.
Final stop of the day.
Well, we do have a second train following us in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, they said this is the last stop of the day.
Continue your trip around the village. But this one's going to stop here.
The train has to finish its circle all the way around here.
But please remain seated until the train does come to a complete stop and the engineer blows the whistle.
Am I carrying no one else for you?
Alright, let's wait for the whistle, please. And as we start to leave the Smith Street station, let's wave goodbye to Amy, our station master here today. Thank you, Amy. And we're moving into our Railroad Junction district here at the village. And the first building you see is our Smith Street Depot. Built in 1858, it was located in small Michigan town, Smith Street. And that was roughly 8.5 miles southwest of Port Huron. And it was located on the Grand Trunk Railroad line that ran between Port Huron and Detroit. This is a typical small town depot building. You'll find that the station master and his family actually lived in half the building, and the other half was used to sell tickets and perhaps pick up any mail you might receive. Now that open air market on our left is the vegetable building, built in 1860. It was part of the Detroit Central Market. They used to sell fruits, vegetables, and flowers out of that location, and they did so until 1894, when the building was closed down, taken apart, and moved over to Belle Isle in the Detroit River, and they rebuilt it as a horse stable. And right now we're starting to pass the Detroit, Toledo, and Milwaukee roundhouse. This is where we service and maintain our steam locomotives and our rolling stock.
Thanks for sharing.
Our roundhouse opened up in the year 2000, and it's a reproduction of a roundhouse that was once located in Marshall, Michigan. That roundhouse was built in 1884 and remained in service until the early 1930s. Now on the other side of these pine trees to our left is our Liberty Craftworks area. In Liberty Craftworks we have artisans who do such things as glass blowing, pottery making, weaving, and printing. Also, they have a small gift shop that sells many of the items our artisans produce. Now coming into the working part. Here we have 7 acres of flower plant. On the right there's a small orchard featuring heirloom apple trees. On the right up ahead is the farmhouse. The farmhouse was built in 1828 in Columbia, Ohio. And it became the birthplace of Harley Firestone. Army went on to create the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company in 1900, and he and Henry Ford became really good friends as Firestone Tire and Rubber began producing tires for the Ford Motor Company that were then used on Model Ts that the company began producing in 1906. And right now we're coming up to the Firestone Station. We're going to stop up here for 8 minutes. Firestone Station is by the main entrance to Greenfield Village. I ask that you please remain seated until the train comes to a complete stop and the engineer blows the whistle. That indicates that he has applied the air brake so the train will not be moving.
Pretty cool.
Alright, please remain seated. Let's wait for that whistle to sound. Ah, there it is. It's now safe for you to stand in that.